Is it wise to remain single for the rest of your life as a sensitive person? Hi, my name is Leah Chantel. I give advice on relationships, and today I'm talking about the choice to be single that a lot of people are making in this day and age. It's coming up on the internet. People are feeling more peaceful, more happy, just living their lives on their own and not worrying about anybody who's going to come into their lives unexpectedly. Talking about the situation that we find ourselves in when dating and marriage isn't really that easy in this day and age. People are really struggling to trust. There's a lot of deceit and lying that goes around in society. And I'm not saying this to sound negative. It's just a fact of life because there are so many people who go through so much trauma nowadays that it's just the natural instinct to sometimes do the wrong thing if people are not really watching their consciousness carefully. And it has completely to do with their past rather than whatever is going on for them in the present. And as a sensitive person, when we open ourselves up to a relationship, it can feel like we're opening ourselves up to a lot of pain. It's like, why do I want to connect with this person when they could potentially bring more trauma and more pain into my life? What is the benefit of having relationships? And many of us sensitive people are inclined to be single for the rest of our lives because we may have had a past life where we lived as a monk or an ascetic, where we just meditated and we let the convent take care of our needs for the rest of our life, and we just worked on growing our spiritual consciousness rather than worry about relationships. For some of us, that's probably the choice we're going to make in this lifetime too, because relationships are just too difficult. And yet what I have found is that the mandate that is given to us as sensitive people changes over many different eras. So back in the day when we were by ourselves, it was more difficult to be by ourselves. People were really pressured in the olden days to go and get married. And making the decision to go to a convent sometimes was supported by the family. Sometimes they appreciated their son would be taken care of. And I mentioned son because it was usually a son and not a daughter, except in some religions in some cases. Women especially were really pushed that they had to get married back in the olden days because that's how our needs were taken care of. We weren't economically mobile enough to get a job and take care of ourselves until really recently in human history. So how does that play out today? Well, now women are becoming more upwardly mobile, they have more choices, and they're just not satisfied with the gentlemen that are trying to approach them. And this goes both ways too. Some people think that women have been too picky, that they're looking for a millionaire or somebody with a trust fund who's 6'5". And that can be true of some women, absolutely. But what also is true is that a lot of gentlemen are becoming ambivalent of any kind of commitment. And women just don't want to deal with the drama of that anymore, especially if they are sensitive people. So how do we deal with those dynamics as sensitive people if we do want a relationship, and should we want a relationship? And my answer to that is you have to really follow your own guidance about what is your purpose in life. That ultimately answers whether or not you should partner. So if your purpose is to travel around the world and help people and you're never in one location for very long, that might not be conducive to having a partner. That might make sense to choose singlehood for the rest of your life. If you are situated in one place for a long time, that also changes the situation. You potentially can partner. You can buy a house and potentially put down roots. Whether or not you want to have children is up to you. Those are questions that are good to ask about whether or not you should partner. But even if you are staying in one location for a long time, you also have to check in with your work life and see if it's conducive to a relationship as well. Sometimes we have jobs that demand a lot of us. We need to give a lot of time and energy, and those jobs can be quite extraordinary. Sometimes it's just for making money and it's not that important. Making money and meeting our own needs is okay enough of a cause, but it's not going to really give us happiness long term. But if we have a cause like we're helping the poor in India, or we're helping people with disabilities, or we're helping the homeless, you might want to work like crazy because you're so dedicated to that purpose and that mission that you want to spend all your time there. So it really depends on your job too. And if you want to be spending all of your time helping people, you could make that choice. If you feel energized by it and you love it, I would say go for it. But if it doesn't energize you and you don't love it, then maybe you have to pick something else. And you don't have to love something because somebody else in your group, in your church loves it. Like if helping the homeless is not your thing, but everybody at your church loves it, it's okay to say, I don't love it. Maybe I love something else instead. Maybe I love helping animals, or maybe I love helping seniors in the senior home, whatever it is. Find what resonates with you. And it's okay if everything doesn't resonate with you. You have to find your purpose and what really lights you up in life and what nurtures you and takes care of you. And I think that's the more important life lesson for us sensitive people than to find a partner per se. Our partners can't really do that for us. In fact, they can bring in a lot of trouble and a lot of drama in our lives if we're not careful. So we have to find ways to self-regulate and become really strong. And then another choice we need to make as sensitive people is it's okay to retain our sensitivity to those things where it lights us up and really helps us in life. Like if we are really sensitive to the plight of the homeless, then yes, we should retain that sensitivity. But there are times when we need to turn off our sensitivity, and that's when we encounter a bad person, a bad partner. And that's when we really need to let them go. When we're able to disconnect and let people go, then that ultimately brings more happiness because we're feeding that joy and that sensitivity into our lives by doing the thing that lights us up, rather than getting overly focused on any kind of relationship that can actually fail at any time. Even if you have a long-term marriage or relationship, it can change in a heartbeat. So you have to always have things in your life that give you purpose and meaning and that nurture your soul. I mean, the things like exercise and eating well are really important to take care of your body, but at some level too, that also doesn't become a purpose after a certain extent. It's like you've taken care of your body, you've taken care of your needs, and then if you keep taking care of it more, you get more Botox and you get more plastic surgery and you get more clothing. It doesn't help after a certain point. It actually just makes us more superficial, and we really need to put our focus on improving society, improving other people. If we're putting our focus and our main energy in life in the right place, then we're gonna be happy. That's gonna sustain us in the long term. And that's not to say that there's anything wrong with food or clothing or even cosmetic surgery if it's really needed and you've been in a fire. All those things have their place, but you just don't want it to become an addiction or something that gets out of control. And being in a relationship can become an addiction as well. And so can being single. You really have to do the things that allow you to grow as a person, that align with your purpose. And you have to be flexible enough to know when that can change. Maybe a period of singlehood is really good at a certain phase in life, like in your 20s when you're going to university and you don't know what's going to come next or where you're going to move in your next chapter of life. Maybe that makes sense to be single for that period of your life. But then at another period of your life, you could be on your own a lot, and it may be very important for you to mingle and mix with people and give people a chance to come into your life because you've got that stability, you've got that rootedness, and there's room for somebody to really join you at a high level. So your choice to be single or be partnered is really up to you. In this day and age, I think heaven wants us to partner if we can, because it's an age where a lot of people are going to choose to elect to become single and not have children. And don't force yourself to have children or get married if it doesn't resonate with you. Just be single. It's okay. But if there's room in your heart that you can give that little bit more to humanity, I think humanity really needs it. And that could be a good choice for you. But it really depends on everyone's heart and on everyone's purpose. If you find what lights you up, then it's going to guide you to whatever the answers are to those big questions about relationships.